Hello, great fam, and welcome to the 11th episode of the Beyond Grief podcast. Now, I have to admit something to you. I did already record an 11th episode, and it was on a topic that is very, very personal to me. It felt very vulnerable to record, and I recorded it initially live on video. So I was going to add a video component to this podcast, and that's still my intention for the podcast eventually. But this go around, when I was reviewing the footage and I was getting ready to upload it and share it, technologically things were just not working the way that I wanted them to. And when I sat with it, after I sat with it for a few days and tried different methods, all of them not working, I realized that I still had a little bit of trepidation about revealing this much of myself, my personal life, my internal life to who knows who. Do you know what I mean? The internet is wide and far, and I am one who believes in the power of spelling, of words, of thoughts, and I can recognize that for a great many of years now in my life, I have been trepidatious about sharing things with people because I have seen people, I know people, and I myself have gone through stages and periods of speaking negatively about myself. I don't tend to gossip about other people, but I've definitely watched other people gossip about people, about me, and I just decided that I wanted to spend more time with this topic than I was giving myself. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. So instead, this week's episode is going to be about going at your own pace and trusting in the intuitive forces within yourself and the ways that they materialize and manifest outside of us that actually are the directional guidance points for where we are in our journey. And I just want to be a voice of support that says you don't have to do anything that you're not ready for. The caveat to that is that you should want to challenge yourself, you should want to strengthen, and the only way to strengthen yourself is to meet with a bit of resistance. But we all know that it can be easy to go overboard, right? We know about gym injuries and sports injuries and play injuries and sex injuries and all the ways that we can injure ourselves when we're having a lot of fun, expressing, being really excited. And I think that maturing is the process of learning how to rein the energy in enough that you're still safe. You're still connected to your breath, your awareness, your consciousness. I really love stories of monks and monk teachings, especially the ones that I've heard from the Buddhist tradition. And there's one in particular that I don't have entirely clear in my mind, but there are little bits that I'm going to share with you that are like glimmers. And it's a story we've heard so many times about the teacher teaching the student about presence. And the teacher teaches the student by taking the student on a long walk and then asking the student, "Do you hear that stream?" Now, when they're near the stream, of course, it's very easy for the student to hear the stream. It's right there in the immediate vicinity. You can't deny the audible volume of the stream. But as the monk and student continue to walk and get further from the stream, the monk asks again, "Can you hear that stream?" And by this time, they're far enough away that other sounds begin to drown out that sound of the distant stream. And the student says, "No, I can't hear it anymore." But the monk still can. And so really the lesson was to be so present, be so conscious that the student learned to hear the stream from at a great distance. When normally, because of the way that our senses work, we tend to just go with what's right in front of us, what's immediately in our vicinity, what's audible, what we can smell, and what we can see with our naked eyes. But there's so much more to the world, as we know. There's so much more mystery than known world, and there are so many dimensions of things happening around us. And so it's important to remember to listen consciously, intently, for the small details of what exists in life, the stream in the distance. This past week, I have been really in an internal look at myself and the sources of my anger. My anger's been coming up frequently in the past few weeks. I'm not entirely sure why, except that I've been turning over some mindset beliefs, habitual thought patterns that I no longer want to move forward with, and they have felt negative. When I've been able to hear them, to recognize the distant stream, I recognize, oh, those things feel really negative. They don't make me feel good to think about and ruminate on. And I noticed this while I was farming. I was out in the field doing whatever I was doing. I might have been cultivating a row or transplanting a seedling or something like that. But I know I was outside in the field, in the fresh air, under the sun, in what I could call paradise. But I was having these ruminating thoughts of negativity, of things that people had done to me that made me feel poorly, of things that made me upset, angry, sad. And then I realized how my mind was going, and I checked in with how my body felt as a result of that rumination. And I realized, I really needed to do some work to shift what my thoughts were ruminating on. And I was really glad to have that moment. And so what's come out of it is the realization of being able to recognize how many times my thoughts go into the negative, and oftentimes it's about myself, or it's about my abilities to do something. Self-doubt comes up in various ways. I mean, it comes up it has many faces, and all of them sound true. They sound believable when the excuses come up of why I can't do something. But the retraining has been to remember that not only can I do it, I want to do it, and I will do it. And I'm exactly where I need to be right now in order to do it. I have all that I need. I am all that I need to be to accomplish the goals that I have for myself in my life. So that's one explanation that I can come up with as to why I've been irritable in the past few weeks. Another explanation is going back to traditional Chinese medicine and the relationship between the liver and anger and frustration and stress, and specifically overthinking. And I certainly have been thinking a lot. I've been creating, I've been thinking about how to move some things in my life forward, how to open some paths and open some doorways, what I need to shed within myself in order to walk through those doorways as a positive, light, attractive, magnetic being. And it could be all the thoughts that I've been having that have led to a level of stress, and then the stress has led to stress on the liver, and stress on the liver leads to irritability and maybe like a heightened sense of anger. So in all of it, I'm really comfortable in just knowing that how I feel is a natural thing, and that means that I can use nature to manipulate it, to heal it. This morning I wrote in my journal, God, please show me how to get over anger the way that I've learned to get over pain. And I know that there are techniques I already know. Deep breathing, conscious breath, conscious out breath, take walks, surround myself with greenery, get sunshine, especially exercise. Exercise is a big one. Get my heart rate up. Dance. Dance is a huge one. It's like, oh my God, girl, please just dance. Because that's an instant transmutation and it doesn't require words. which words can get in the way when it comes to expressing anger for me, because again, words are spells, and I don't intend to just keep speaking the negative emotion or the negativity about the emotion that I feel. It's better to dance it out. It's better to transmute it in another way. Use the gift of Oya, the Orisha of the wind and of the breath, to breathe through it. This past week, I started an embodied voice session. I taught this session online every week sometime in 2023, and I had to take a break from it when I started touring with the Parable Opera. And I didn't come back to it for a couple of years because a lot of things were up in the air in my life. I was continuing to tour. I had to work through some vocal things on my own, and now I'm stable enough and ready to be able to release this class again. And so I had a couple classes this week. They went great. It felt so good for me to be doing the work. I noticed my own growth in being able to do the work and to guide the work. And really what it all comes down to for me is a focus on the breath. It is intentionally listening, making space for, and expanding the breath into and through different parts of the body, into the aura and out into the space around us. And then adding movement and sound on top of the breath, guided by the breath, even motivated by the breath, in order to facilitate deeper release, to release tension, to release habits, to release trauma, and to release pain and anger. So all that is in play this week, and I honestly feel really excited to just be aware that it's happening. I think it's a really good process to be in. I don't feel hard on myself for feeling anger. I think that anger is a very natural emotion, just like sadness is, just like joy is, just like excitement or confusion or any of the other emotions that everyone experiences in their lifetimes. So I don't want to run away from it. I don't want to ostracize it like it should stay over there and only be over there. I welcome the anger to teach me about myself, to teach me about what's going on in my life, and especially to point me toward what things I want to grow from, and how to let go, again, of another aspect of just human experience. To be detached enough that I can return to my center and my peace in spite of what's going on, in spite of the emotions that I feel. So it's really using the emotion as a tool to navigate to the core of what's blocking me from experiencing peace. And I do believe that we each have the capacity to experience total peace, total bliss in this life, no matter what our backgrounds are. So this is my way of saying that no matter what you're going through, no matter what parts of yourself you feel like you're still working on, or you want to improve, or you're not exactly where you want to be, contentment, peace, is to be contented with the place that you are in the process. And I feel like that's really, really important, because most good things in life, if not all good things in life, require time to perfect. And in that time to perfect, you have to make mistakes. You have to fall down. You have to skin your knee from time to time. You have to cry. You might have to experience some frustration. I always go back to the imagery of how children learn to walk. You know, they go from being immobile, essentially, except for just being able to use their extremities in a gripping motion, to crawling and holding their own heads up. And then crawling moves into standing. And then before they can even take their first step, they have to stand and fall. And then when they do take their first steps, they may only get 1 or 2 in before they fall again. nobody is judging them for falling in the process of learning to walk. So I always return to that analogy when I think of doing something new for myself, when I think of doing something great, and when I think of like something that requires my whole existence in order to create. I have to be kind with myself. I have to be compassionate. I have to be patient in the process. And I can't skip steps. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot go from crawling to running. It's just not going to work. Like, it's not even going to, first of all, it's impossible. And secondly, even if it was possible, like, would I have the strength and the stamina and the alignment needed to actually perform that run? You know, so like everything in the process is needed to build the skills, the character, the strength, the capacity to like be able to maintain what the goal is. And so I find myself here a lot where I'm recognizing that I have pretty big goals. I've had big goals all of my life. I thought when I was younger, because I was so excited to achieve the goals, I thought that I could or should achieve them earlier, or like some pieces should fall into place earlier. And, you know, I've had moments in the past few months where I ask myself, is it too late? Is it too late for me to enjoy the fruits of my labor? Even though I'm still here, even though my body is still capable, even though I'm still breathing, even though my mind is still intact, for some reason, the doubtful question still has arisen in my mind frame. And again, it's one of those times where like the thought pattern looks really convincing. It sounds like it's true. It sounds believable. And then I have to go into it and talk back to it, basically. What do you mean? What do you mean I'm too old? Or what do you mean I was supposed to do that 10 years ago? Or what do you mean this life event interrupted the whole process and ruined it? Like, is that true? Usually, no. It's not true. Because I see all the ways that the life event, yeah, it may have felt like an interruption, but it also grew so many other areas of my character that now I'm like, look, I mean, what I actually wanted alongside the big lofty goals was a strong character to match it. So it makes sense to me that in this time, as I've been working toward the physical material goal, this spiritual, emotional, mental character building like school has manifested in my life through various experiences from dealing with, yes, the deaths of family members, but also the births of others, the responsibilities that I assumed because I care so much. Even learning how much I care was something that I've done only within the past 15 years. And then learning again how to care for myself in this umbrella of care, and how this self-care is really what I want to be operating from, so that I have enough, more than enough, to feed myself on. I've learned so much about nourishment. It's not just food and herbs. It's self-care practices, the ones we all know about, the very simple ones, taking a bath, lighting candles, praying, meditating, going for long walks, being in nature, giving love to your pet, giving love to your lover, giving love to your children. Like, the exchanges of intimacy and affection are really good for the heart. Having hugs, you know, it's so funny to think about the science coming out about hugs now, about hugs being like, you know, brain chemical altering in a good way. And it's like, why did y'all need science to... Okay, it's fine. It's okay. I'm glad y'all figured it out. But yeah, all those things are self-care, and they have helped me learn what the value of my time is, the value of my body, myself, my mind, my words, my thoughts, my actions. And, doing energy work within and on myself through these methods, slowly but powerfully changes the vibration of my physical form and how I show up in the world. So it's not just empowerment from some external gain, it's empowerment from within. And the external gain or the materialization of the empowerment is literally just that. It is a reflection, it is a mirror of the power that I assume within myself, regardless of what's going on outside of me. That to me is true freedom. And that is worth cultivating, no matter the circumstance. And so in that cultivation, the process of cultivating that kind of freedom from within, the liberation of my true self, my peace, my bliss, my availability, my awareness, my authenticity to self, I'm going to fall sometimes. I'm going to feel like I fell short. I'm going to feel like I'm not exactly where I want to be. I'm going to feel like I made a mistake here and there. But I'm also going to feel like I'm going to keep trying. I won't let those mistakes and failures stop the process. Because what I'm going for is not perfection. I don't need perfection. I need authenticity. And authenticity is nature. Authenticity is nature. So when I look out in nature, things ain't perfect, but they are true. And because of how true they are beautiful. And because of how beautiful they are healing for us when we engage in the nature. There's always going to be something falling off, something broken, something bent, something dying, something transitioning, something eating something else, something killing something else. That is nature. And sometimes the beauty of it is even dangerous. It's cutthroat. It will not spare you. And I think the truth is like that. It will not spare your feelings, but it doesn't make it any less worthy of commitment. So that is really what this week is all about. It is committing to the true self, the authentic self, in spite of what shortcomings there are. Usually the shortcomings aren't really that bad when you look at it from a distance. You can see the fuller picture, and it's actually a very beautiful aspect of the full picture. But you do gotta get some distance from it, enough to recognize how conscious you really are, enough to recognize the depth of awareness that you have to still be able to hear that quiet stream in the distance and integrate it into the whole of the experience that we're having. With that, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you here. I hope that this helped or connected with you in some way that you feel related to. I relate to you. Thank you, beloved. Peace.